Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. How are you? Welcome. Welcome to our live stream. We are with the one and only One Gun. How are you today, One Gun?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How are
Good,
you
doing
feeling?
good. Doing good, looking good, feeling good.
All
And we
right. All right.
also have with us Helmet, the Wolfman from Wolf Entertainment. How are you
Hey
today?
everybody, I'm good, thank you.
Welcome. And where are you checking in? Just to give people a little bit of envy. Where are you checking in from, Helmet?
I'm in the south of France right now.
He's in the south of France, good people. Well, we hope you're enjoying it. I hope it's as good as it sounds. So, we are very excited to welcome you all today to our event brought to you by We Are Functioning. It is a recently launched podcast where we're very excited to celebrate how music can heal during Music Therapy Week. And we are here. We just introduced ourselves, but I'll do it again. We are here with Grammy Award winning artist and the co-host and founder of the We Are Functioning team, One Gun. One Gun, you've got so
All
much
right. All
going
right.
on. You've got so much
Mhm.
going on, right? So first
Man.
of all, we all want to know, what song did you win the Grammy for?
If everyone remembers "Kiss" by Prince, that was the one that had all the controversy surrounding it, and eventually it was released, and it did very well, as we know.
Do we remember it? That's a classic. I know I for sure I have my own dance still to Kiss. And that was just it, right? We're revealing our
hmm
age, but we're like fine wine that just gets better with time, so we're gonna take it. And
Well, I was
not
only 12 back then, so I was really young. I was underage, and
you've been
yeah,
making music
if we're
for a
talking
long
about age
time.
right now.
You've been look, age is a beautiful thing. Not only that,
Yes,
but you
sir.
have been practicing and creating new music since then, right? So you've
Oh
just
yeah,
released a new song this week. Tell us about that. April
exactly.
8th.
Thanks to Wolf Entertainment, right? Who graciously signed me to the label. So I just released on the 8th, Head in Hand. It's called Head in Hand and not Hands. And it's actually the title track to the podcast, my new podcast, Functioning. So
Awesome.
it speaks to, and functioning, of course, is about similar to what we're talking about today, healing the mind with music. And we are really focused in on finding a cure for schizophrenia through functioning.
Yes. Absolutely. And I think shout out first of all to everyone who's online. We have Melinda, J Dog's Pipeline. Actually, we are functioning is
Yes.
tuning in with us. So
Greg
awesome.
Cockrell.
Greg Cockrell, Love One
Mm.
Gun.
What's going on, Greg?
Hey
Yeah,
Greg.
getting a lot of love out there. We love it.
Yes.
So I think everybody wants to hear the song. So why don't we take a moment and play the song so we can actually hear and feel
All
the
right. All
elements
right.
of what you did, right? And what
Yeah.
this all
Yeah.
means.
Give them
So
a
give
little
us one
taste.
second. Yeah, we're gonna give you a little taste, like my Jamaican grandfather would say. One second. Be patient with us, good people. We'll be right there. All right, here we go.
Cause my mind is all over the place, head in hand. Just don't understand what you did to me, you do to me. It's so wrong, but I understand. You giving this man head in hand. Oh, mother.
Okay.
Mm,
So that is a nice little
yes.
sample. That is a nice little sample. And you can hear it.
Yes.
So
Yes.
what were you really going through? We're going to share this link out for folks. You'll see a QR code on the screen, and you can take your camera out and scan this QR code, and you can actually stream the song on all of the platforms.
hmm
You can stream it on all of the platforms.
Well, and that song, when we launched Functioning the podcast, we were talking about all the songs we could use that were, I don't want to say crazy, because we don't want to go there, but that pertain to like something like schizophrenia. And as everyone was talking about the songs, including the marketing team, I was just doing like, man, I should be writing my own song now. Head in
Yes.
Hand, lyrically, I wrote years ago. It's based on We have a family member with schizophrenia, and just from observing, that's why I say I highly respect the musicians that when the song just comes easy to them, or they get not just one song done in a day, but two or three done in a day. That's kind of like head and hands. Those people always talk about the song wrote itself, right? It
Right,
was already
right,
there. I
right.
just had to put it on paper. So watching, understanding a person going through schizophrenia, it was really easy, and I wanted to nail it with some hard music, yet some mutually friendly lyrics, and hopefully that's what people hear when they listen to it.
It's such, I think, a universal physical symbol, right, of someone holding their head in their hand. It's just like, oh
Mhm.
my goodness, whether you have a diagnosis, you're undiagnosed,
Yeah.
or you're just a human living in this world, right? I've shared with you
Mhm.
before that I have several people in my family that have schizophrenia. And, to see them, that is such a literal image that I have, right? Of someone
Oh
holding their
yeah.
head. They
Oh
look
yeah.
like they're just being tortured when everything seems like it's okay. So I'm really feeling that.
Oh
And
yeah.
people, thank you. Keep on scanning. Alexis Dennis, shout out to you. Thank you for joining
What's up,
today with your
Lexi?
purple hearts and your strong arms. We absolutely love it. We absolutely love it. So I hope you all got your QR codes and you got it scanned, because that's a hot track that everybody needs to really know about. And that is out this week, April 8th, on
That's right.
Wolf Entertainment with the Wolf Man. So how are you doing today, Helmet?
Yeah, good. Look, excited to hang out with you and Marvin and to have this podcast. So we've been looking at it and working on it for a while, and talking about it and having meetings. So it's really fun to do it.
Right, to make things actually happen. So tell us, what made you say yes? What made One Gun and the Wolfman get together and say, let's make this music? What was the symbiotic attraction? What
Don't
makes it
know
work?
actually how we actually got introduced to each other. Do you remember that?
Wasn't it JB? He used to be the one of Prince's bodyguards. Remember
Yeah.
JB? Yeah.
No, but I don't think I remember him, but I think he didn't introduce us. I think we were already together by the time I met JB. I'm not sure anymore, but anyway, once
It
we
works.
once
We know it
once we
works.
once we met each other, and I started to hear Marvin's music, I was like, "Fuck, this is great!" And just on a music basis, and in the beginning, I had no idea who he is and what he had done, and that he is a Grammy winner, he worked with Prince, been in Maserati, and all of this stuff. I had no idea, but I loved the music. And
Right.
then we started to get to know each other. And since then, we have become friends. And I'm, proud to have him as my friend and on the label.
That's awesome. And you also have, you obviously believe in the healing powers of music, Helmet, because one great, I guess you would say, legendary story that was told about you is when you produce and, reveal to the world the Wave of Love event. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what really made that happen?
Okay, first, I don't believe in the healing power of music. I know I don't have to
You know.
believe in
Come
it
on, tell us,
because I
tell
have
us.
Mhm.
experienced it and I've lived
Right.
it and
There
I've
you go.
seen it. And but the Wave of Love Festival, that was an old idea I had. Well, New Year's when the fireworks go off as you go around the world, and I thought, well, what if we do a concert every hour in the next time zone of the world? And to make it short, we did that, and we did 23 concerts in 22 countries over 23 or
You
4
just said
hours.
23 concerts in 22 countries
Yeah,
in 23 hours.
and every hour as the time
Wow.
goes on, you do the next concert, and at the same time we were filming it and streaming it, so you create an ongoing 23-hour show. Marvin was in there with his team,
Mhm.
and so because my name is Wolf, I was looking for a name for the whole thing. It was like Wave of Love, because music for me is an expression of love. So Wave of Love Festival, WOLF Wolf, and I thought that's a good name. So we came up with
That's a
the
good name.
Wave of Love Festival,
I
and
love
so
that,
And it
right?
was amazing. It was amazing too. I went
yes.
back because it was pre-recorded, so I went back and watched some of the other bands, and I was like, Oh man, there's some pretty talented artists on Wolf Entertainment, and also
Yes.
just so you know, Wolf plays sax too. He's an amazing musician, so don't let him fool you just by
Yes,
being the president of Wolf Entertainment.
I'm a
Correct?
musician too. I
Yes.
know that's
Hmm.
right.
There you go. Great.
Awesome. So you've also, well, if you've talked about, you told me recently in the 80s you were working with music therapy. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I was living and working in an kind of an institute in Holland. It's called the Human University, and there's a kind of place where people go for learn about meditation. They learn about working on their problems, emotional release, very big. Letting go of the garbage for once and stuff like that. And one of the things we did, I had my live band there always, and we always played when one of the therapists was running the session with 20 or to 80 people or so. We played live to
Wow.
what was going on. So imagine if the therapist wants to create a I hate you space to scream out your negativity. We would make hate music. And if the therapist was doing a session where people walk around and hug each other and say, I love you, we do heart music. And so we basically supported with the live music the emotional space that was going on in the workshop.
It's like a
You
love
know,
fest.
it's like real life. It's like real
Yes.
life,
Yes.
right? Because I
Hmm.
mean, how many of us, we're overwhelmed and we just got to listen to a jazz piece or something that's going to soothe us. That happens all the
Hmm.
time. Or, you just don't feel like getting anything done and you're like, let me put on this beat that I know I'm going to feel and I'm going to jam to, and it's going to bring me
Hmm.
to life. So that sounds like life to me, Helmet, right?
And
Mm,
This
and
is
I
this is
always say, if you take away the lyrics, it's the most universal language out there. Everybody
right.
understands. It can take you up, it can bring you down, and it can put you right across that middle if you need to.
I love that quote, right? Even if you take
Hmm.
away the words, we all know what is being said. And so I want you to share with us the story, One Gun, of how you used music with your dad
Oh
before
yeah,
he passed
yeah.
away.
Yeah, so closer to as my dad got older and he was closer to, I'll just say, to the end of his life. Actually, I went and I got him out of Milwaukee and I brought him out to Phoenix, and we spent his last 6, 7 years together. And so, he came out. He wasn't in the best of health. Eventually, he had a stroke and had to go into a group home.
Mhm.
And we would visit all the time. So there was a chaplain that was visiting, and I ran into him a couple times, and he mentioned that, yeah, I come in, and my dad was actually a great jazz musician. Used to Al Jarreau used to open up for him, if people remember him. And
Wow.
so jazz was his thing, and so the chaplain would come in and play jazz music, and he'd play it on his phone. And this was when my dad was still a little more responsive. But when he was closer to making that next journey of his life, he became unresponsive. It's almost like he knew you were in the room. You might see some movement, some facial movement, but he couldn't open his eyes. He was literally, it looked like he was unresponsive. So I went in
What'd
one
you do?
day, and
Uh-huh.
yeah, and I went in one day, and this was the first time I saw him like this, where he's kind of in, but he's out. He's not opening his eyes, and I'm like, let me play some music for him. And we're talking to him because I know he can hear us. Even they say people that are even in comas, if you're talking to them, they can hear you, and they can hear the music, right? So I played a little jazz for him, and at one point in time, without opening his eyes, his arm just raised up, and he starts snapping his fingers to the beat.
Isn't
And
that
then
amazing?
right after that, oh man, I was like, wait a minute now, this music is doing something. And um, right after that, he opened his eyes briefly for a short period, and then he just went back out. Basically, fell asleep. So that
Mm.
was pretty
It was
eye-opening
intense.
regarding music.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Especially if you play
Powerful.
somebody's favorite song, right? So
Mhm.
I was in shock, and that was my first real realization of what the power of music can do and how healing it can be.
I think we should listen to Head and Hands again. Let's listen to it one more time for all the
Well,
good
I'm not going to
people.
fight you on that. You know that.
Let's listen to it one more time because this song is not only a Amazing song, but it has a purpose.
Cause my mind is all over the place, head in hand. Just don't understand what you did to me, do to me. It's so wrong, but I understand you giving this man head in hand. Oh, mother, mother.
I love
Mm,
the way that you call out in the song because that's just how we feel when we're going through that turmoil, which we all go through. Like I said, whether you have a diagnosis or not, living this human experience, you are going to get some mental strife in your life. So everyone that's on, we give a big shout out to you. Thank you for tuning in. If you happen to see
mhm,
this after we're live, you can still scan this QR code and download, stream, get head in hand, listen to it, share it out, because these are the type of songs that bring that peace and that moment of calm and healing to folks. And, you created this, as we said, as the theme song for the podcast Functioning,
mhm, mhm.
right?
Yep.
So we want to share that out to folks. We'll do that again right now. Um, Tell us a little bit about how this podcast came about. If you scan this QR code, you will be able to view all of you won't be able to see me, but that's okay. I'm not that important right now. You can scan the code and you can go to the YouTube channel and get all of the episodes. I have listened to them. I've actually listened to them with someone who is a direct caretaker for someone with schizophrenia.
Mhm,
And, it's such a difficult task to have because it's so uncertain. But let me tell you, the response was so overwhelmingly positive. I could hear them sighing relief as they listened to, because finally we have someone who understands what we're going through. I don't feel like I'm
mhm.
living in a box right now, right?
Right.
So tell us
Mhm.
a little bit, Marvin, about your experience with functioning. What are your
Well,
hopes for it?
just so you know, functioning is the mastermind of
Oh,
I have
yes,
my part in it, but of
yes,
Wendy Cannon Gunn, my wife,
yes.
my lovely wife I
Shout
call
out
Lovey.
Shout out to the
And
one and only Wendy.
that's right. And we have schizophrenia in our family. So she has always been talking about finding the cure for schizophrenia one day. I made a joke on one of our podcasts about, one day you're gonna see my wife, and she said, "Why did you put me barefoot?" But I said, "Barefoot in the Amazon, walking around looking for certain plants and leaves, climbing trees." And I would be like this, filming it from home because I'm not going to be going to the Amazon. Okay, so I would be watching from some camera view a long ways away. But no, she always said, "I want to find a cure for schizophrenia." And I'm talking about for years, right? And then one day, just like anything, you know how you wait for that vacation, then it just pops up and it's upon you. One day it was just time to do it. And it was really a great combination for me because why? I had another reason to write another song. I wanted to write the title track. And we are advocates on functioning. We're not professionals, we're not doctors, we're not lawyers, and we're not nothing like that. We are advocates for anyone that is dealing with schizophrenia. Everyone's situation is different. But if you visit and watch one of our podcasts or listen to the podcast, it may give you some type of idea surrounding how to work within your situation and your family scenario of having schizophrenia. So the
And that's a
podcast
lot of
really help.
people.
We have people that call, they'll chime in and say, well, what happens if this happens and if this happens? And I guarantee you there's a podcast episode for a lot of those questions. So please join us in listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe as well.
Absolutely. Like and subscribe. And one of the things you talk about is how far this reaches, right? So 1% of our population, we call it the other 1%, right, is
Hmm.
diagnosed with schizophrenia. But this podcast is for people like you and I who are supporting, who are related to, who love someone with schizophrenia, right? It creates this community, and it really is looking to not only find a cure, most importantly, but also to destigmatize
Yes. Yes.
schizophrenia, right? Because
Mhm.
I'm just going to tell you to tune in because I could go over all the facts, but that's why you need to watch the podcast and really get get a lot of questions answered that are probably floating around in your mind right now. It's such
Hmm.
and you and Wendy, right, Honey Bay, um, and you two are just so great at your chemistry, your candidness, and just making sure you're always delivering value to people. So
Oh yeah,
anything
living
else?
together and the work life together.
Yes,
It does
and
work.
it does. You make it seem, the both of you make it seem like a joyride. That's what I'll say. It just
Yeah,
seems
and
wonderful.
the great part is we are waiting for people to some have, but more people to chime in and talk about their stories. I know Wolf was talking about a couple things that happened to him before, and I still haven't heard his story yet. So
Oh yes, you told us you had a
you briefly
you could
touched on
call
it
us
the other day.
Jesus. You have a Jesus story. Yes. Why don't
He's
you
got a
share that?
couple. Yeah.
Okay, the Jesus story. I just had basically arrived in Holland in this institute where I was living and working and training and later teaching. And as I was walking around, it was a big old children's home from the Catholic Church out of the 20s, 30s, right by the beach in Holland, which we were busy renovating. Massive place. And so there's this guy, English guy, walking around the hallway, and he always has a minder with him. So I say to my connection there, so what's going on with him? What's wrong? And my friend says he thinks he's Jesus Christ. He's on his psychosis. And so next time I saw him in the hallway, I went over to him, gave him a hug, and it said in his ear, "You can't be Jesus Christ because I'm Jesus Christ." And I kept going. And 3 weeks or so later, he came out of the psychosis step by step. But years later, we were both staff members and friends by then. He told me years later that that moment when I said to him, "I'm Jesus Christ, you can't be," that's when the switch started for him. And that's when he thought to himself, "This guy is more crazy than I am. So I can't be that crazy." And he decided to kind of
So
become
let me
normal
let me
again.
come back.
Yeah.
Well, that's the beauty of Jesus being in us all, right? We can wake
Yeah.
each other up. That's
Yeah.
a that's so real though. But kudos to you for having the compassion to you know to whisper in his ear and tell him that, right? And for you
Mm,
to still be in relationship with him all these years later, that he actually told you, "Hey, you
mm,
helped me out.
mm,
You really helped me out." I want to give
Hmm.
a highlight Mark A. Derstowitz. He just wrote a beautiful comment. He said, "Beautiful people with schizophrenia pay the price so we can have art, math, music, all of science. The genes that make those things possible are also the genes for the schizophrenia form and autism
Mark.
spectrum."
Mark.
yeah.
And I wanted to respond to that and say, Mark, we have a podcast coming out regarding music and creativity, eccentric or crazy. And one of the featured stories of that podcast is
Exactly.
about Quincy Jones, whose mother was diagnosed with schizophrenia. Now he was not diagnosed with it, but he always said that he got his musical genes from his mother.
Hmm.
So that's going to be a interesting podcast to listen to for everyone.
Hmm. And it's also important, in your effort and on your journey to really find the cure for schizophrenia, we have to understand everything about it, right? As much as possible, and how it
Mhm,
overlays and crosses over. So,
mhm.
everyone, go again. We'll put it up one more time. The QR codes. Scan right now. Make sure you can get the single of Head and Hand that's available on all streaming platforms. So please do
And
that
download platforms just for
and
the people
download.
who like to download it. The
Yes,
Yes,
few.
yes.
streaming and downloading. Tell them what you want them to do, Wolfman.
Download the song.
Download the song. There you
Yeah.
go.
Pay for it.
Download the
It's a
song.
dollar.
Pay. It's a dollar, man. It's a dollar.
See, you see why I like Wolf. You
Yes,
see.
come on. Tell
Yes,
them. The
yes,
Wolfman
yes.
said so.
Mm,
So that's where you can download the song. And then also, here is the QR code to subscribe to the Functioning YouTube channel. You can also follow them on social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram. Please find the platforms there, watch on YouTube, and please share out, because there may be people you don't know who are really struggling to care for someone with schizophrenia, because it is such an isolated the diagnosis is very isolating. So we're really looking to
Mhm.
build community and get this conversation going. And we're also looking for people who may want to share their own stories, whether you're affected, maybe you're a therapist. So just reach out. Let us know what's going on. We thank you from the top of our hearts today for tuning in. We hope that you have found a lot of value and maybe some joy here with us today. Music is life, music is healing. And like Wolfman says, we know it heals. One Gun, thank you for all that you do. And to everybody who joined in today, stay blessed.
All right. Thank you so much, Wolfman, for joining us as well. Everyone,
Pleasure.
I'll see
Thank
you
you all.
soon.